I'm Tycho Orton from Fortune Law. The parties to a contract are fundamental to its existence. If the court can't identify the parties, it will declare the contract void. Even if you can identify the parties, if you got the parties wrong or they're not in the position that you thought they were, it may not be practical to enforce the contract. To avoid these issues, there are some simple steps you should take. First, make sure that all the parties to the contract are named in the parties clause. Second, make sure that you have all the necessary details to identify them accurately and make sure those details are correct. And third, conduct some basic due diligence on who you're doing business with. The identity of the parties is fundamental to a contract. Usually, it is only a party who can sue or be sued to enforce a contract. If a court is unable to identify who the parties to a contract are, it will declare the contract void, and this will mean that it cannot be enforced at all. Even if the parties can be identified, if the parties are wrong, it may not be possible to enforce the contract in practice. Even if the parties can be identified, and they are the right parties who you intend to contract with, it may be that they're not who you think they are, or in the position that you think they are in. They may be on the brink of insolvency, or they may not have very many assets. And this may mean that it's not worthwhile to try and enforce the contract, as you won't be able to get your money back. These are extreme consequences of getting the parties in a contract wrong. But these sort of extreme consequences do happen with some regularity. For example, in one instance, a company wanted to buy 2 properties from Company A Limited, which had a registered number 123, and was part of a group of companies that we'll call Land Group. Things went wrong, and the buyer decided to terminate the contract and ask for their deposit back. However, they didn't receive a response from Company A, and so they decided to sue to get their deposit back. At this point, they ran into a problem. There was no Company A. There was, however, a company with a registered number 123, and that was Company B Limited, which was part of Land Group. So it seemed there had been a typo in the company name, but because they had the company number, they were able to identify the company who was the correct party to the contract. However, there was another problem. The 2 properties were actually owned by Company C. To make matters worse, Company B only had £1 in its assets. So if Company B refused to pay back the deposit, it could be declared insolvent and wound up, but there would be no assets that the buyer could seize in order to get their money back. There are some simple steps you can take to minimize the risk of getting things wrong. First, make sure that everyone who is a party to the contract is in the parties clause. Second, make sure that you enter the details of each party correctly. For a UK company, there are 4 details that you should have in the contract. First, the company's legal name. This should be exactly as it is spelled at Companies House. Second, you should specify where the company is registered. Often, this will be in England and Wales for a UK company. Third, make sure you include the company registration number. Companies can change their name, but they can't change their company number. Fourth, make sure you include the registered address of the company. For an individual, use their full legal name and their address. This helps to differentiate them from other people with the same name. Third, trust but verify. Do some basic due diligence on the person that you're doing business with. If you're doing business with a company, check that it exists. You can search Companies House with the company's name or registration number for free, and I'll put a link to that in the video description below. Check that the company name and registration number match the details you've been given, and check that the registered address they've given you matches as well. In addition, you can check who the directors of the company are and who the major shareholders are. Do these match your expectations? If not, you may want to do some further checks, or go back to the person you're doing business with and ask them to clarify why there's a discrepancy. If you have questions, or you need help with a legal matter, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're here to help you build a better business.